Well, hello everyone. I'm back. I know it has been a little while since I've done a video, and I did in my last video, I kind of explained what was going on. That I decided I needed to take a step back, kind of figure things out, and, see what I wanted to do moving forward with making videos. I still want to continue making videos. I just can't do them like I was trying to do where I was doing 1 or 2 a week. It just became a lot, and financially, I wasn't really seeing any kickback for it. And so it was kind of like taking over my life and not really worth it, monetarily wise, to add on an extra 20 hours of work a week on top of everything else that I'm doing. However, I do want to continue doing videos when I feel like I have a little bit of time. And today I had a little bit of time, and I was working on something that I thought was interesting, that I thought y'all might enjoy seeing me do. But yeah, a little more on, I guess, what's going on in my life. I've just been kind of chilling out. It's kind of the slow season for me before everything really ramps up in January for another season, what I would consider the 26-27 season, which just seems crazy wild to me that we're this far along into the 21st century. I remember when it was Y2K and we thought that everything was going to shut down and we would have no power to anything. And now we're almost 26 years past that. That is just mind-blowing to me. Anyway, so I've just been kind of taking my time doing, some orders here and there and trying to prepare for the next year, 2026, and kind of getting ideas of some things that I want to do, and some goal setting, which I think is good. But I've just been kind of taking this time to kind of take a breath, because the world's kind of a crazy place, and sometimes it's good to just be quiet and not go, because I feel like that runs down my battery. And, I've dealt with a lot of burnout, and I still deal with it, and I'm still trying to figure a way to get out of that burnout and move forward in a healthy way for myself. But I think I'm on a good road for that. But I do have some ideas with videos. I do want to continue doing videos here on YouTube, but a lot of you guys have reached out to me and said how much the videos have helped you. And I know that it's not, it's not a lot. It might be, 50, 100 people, which is not really enough, viewership to make YouTube's worthwhile monetarily wise to consider making this a job. Because like I said in my last video, I was hoping that I could do the YouTube videos that, I could kind of make, some good income on the videos and not have, all of my income be just making costumes for people, and that I could kind of split it up. But I kind of soon saw that this is, it's kind of going to be hard to build a community here with enough people to make that happen, because I think what I do is so niche. It's not like, rebuilding a house where, everybody has a house, it's skating costumes. And even with that, doing skating costumes, everybody's not interested in how they're built. They may think they're pretty and whatnot and enjoy watching me on Instagram and seeing little clips, but to do these long form videos, it can be, finding that right audience, and I'm just not sure there's a large audience for it. However, I have, started thinking about maybe doing a Patreon. And if you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically like a paid for service where you subscribe monthly, and I give you videos. Now, I was thinking about doing this, so let me know in the comments below if you are interested in this and that if you would be willing to pay. And if I feel like there's enough people to make some videos, but it would go a little more in depth than what I've been doing here, because I'm trying not to give away all of my secrets, especially right at at the beginning. But if I did do a Patreon, I think I would do a pretty good start video, maybe with 10 or so videos, and then every week maybe put out some sort of video that could kind of really deep dives into sewing and beading and creating and all of that kind of stuff, pattern making. And so probably when I started, there'd be, you know, a couple of videos on pattern making, a couple of videos on the sewing, on beading, and just like a little bit of everything. And then each week, you know, I would release maybe doing like one pattern video a month, one sewing video a month, one beading type of video a month, and then something else. And I don't know. Maybe I would leave it up to you guys to choose what you want to see next. But if you're interested in seeing some sort of Patreon where you subscribe, and I give you content so that it helps you on your sewing journey. If you're somebody who is making costumes or you know, whatever it may be that you feel like what I'm doing would help you, please leave a comment below, and I'll see if I feel like there's enough of a, you know, interest that I could start that. Because I think there might be. So, on to today's video. I have a costume here that I did for a customer this past season, and she skated to Mary Poppins. And so we had to do kind of like a Mary Poppins inspired costume. We didn't want to go like full like recreation of what she wore in the movies. I can't remember if this was the first movie, you know, like the original Julie Andrews movie, or if it was the remake Mary Poppins Returns. I feel like it was the original movie. But we did a costume that kind of had a vibe of Mary Poppins, but to really give the vibe, we did a collar on it that had a little red bow tie and a white collar to give that vibe of Mary Poppins. I'll have a video in here so that you can kind of see the full costume of what we're doing. But I made the costume so that when she was done doing Mary Poppins, because, you know, that's very specific, the costume itself, as you can see, was not super Mary Poppins. It was that collar that really gave it that little extra touch of like, okay, this is Mary Poppins with like a different look, a little Brad spin on it, as I like to say. But I made the dress. I told them, you know, I'm making this dress so that we can take this collar off and the bow tie off so that we can maybe bead a, you know, necklace on it or something, and then you can use it for something else so that it's not just specific to Mary Poppins. And so they loved that idea. So today I am going to be taking the neck off. The bow tie is already off, but I'm going to be taking this collar off and then rebeading it to look like a necklace. So I'm going to kind of show you my process behind that, because I basically, what I did is I made the costume like normal, where it would just have like a nude neck, and then I added this collar as a separate piece to make it look like a collar, and then we put a little bow tie in the middle, which is currently off of it now. But I thought it'd be interesting to see like the change in this, and how that you can, when you're making a costume, if there's something that's really specific that you need to use, that maybe once you're done with the costume, you can't wear it for anything else because it's so costumed towards one thing. You can maybe create something so that you take a couple of pieces off and then readjust so that it looks like just a standard skating costume, which this one will look like that. So I'm going to bring you close up and I'll show you how I take it off, and then how we kind of put it back together so that it has a beautiful necklace on it, and then it just looks like a stunning waltzy dance dress. This is for an ice dancer. So I'm going to put you over top, and then we'll go over it. And then I hope you're enjoying this video. So please give me a like, you know, subscribe for whenever a new video comes, because who knows when that will be. And then please let me know below if you are interested in maybe a Patreon membership type of monthly subscription. Because when you do that, like, you know, you can do what they call churn with the streaming. And so if you don't know what churn is basically like you subscribe for maybe a month or so, get the information you need, and then, you know, you unsubscribe, and then, you know, when maybe some more videos have built up, then you subscribe again. If you want to do that, that is fine with me. However, I would love it if, you know, there were some people that just continued to subscribe and got my videos monthly. That would be helpful as well. But I understand that, like, you know, probably what I would charge a month would be kind of expensive. And so you may get all the knowledge you need right at the beginning of that, if that makes sense. And then whatever. So anyway, I'm going to stop yapping because I'm a very good yapper, a jibber jabber, as I like to call. And we'll get on with showing you on this video. But if you are interested in the Patreon, please leave a comment below. Yes, yes, Brad, please, let's do this. I'm interested in this. And if I feel like there's enough interest, then maybe I will put some videos together. I'm thinking in my mind, but do not quote me, that possibly December, because December is kind of my get ready for the new year month. So currently we're at the beginning of November. I'm finishing up some orders, and then I have a little vacation at the beginning of December, and then when I get back from that, we have the holidays and stuff, but I just want to kind of make it a get ready for January and the new year. And so I was thinking maybe I could take some of that time to put together, maybe 10 videos to start with, and then we add in week to week new videos for the Patreon. So let me know if you're interested in that. We'll get on with this video. Sorry for the lengthy beginning, but you know what? I've been away for a while. I needed to get my kick on jibber jabbering to a camera again. And hopefully there'll be people on the other side. All right, I'm gonna flip you over. All right, so now you can see a close-up of the neck. So it's basically just a piece of fabric that I made to look like a collar. I made a little red bow tie in between here. But this can just be taken off, as you can see. It's just kind of been whip stitched on, I believe. May have been zigzag there. But anyway, we're just gonna kind of cut it out. So I've got some little hand pieces here. Now, normally I would use maybe a seam ripper. I am currently at home, and I do not have a seam ripper here. And so I'm just going to pull all that out. So see, it just comes off, and then there's like a nude neck underneath. Yeah, I've zigzagged it on. And so see, I have hooks here, so I like to use hook and eyes. I'll show you how I put them on once I get this off. But I'll have to take all that off and then reapply since this is all folded over. And so I just kind of go through and clip all of the strings. So this has just been whip stitched on. And when I say whip stitched, I've just hand sewn it and just kind of stitched up to get it to fold over. So super easy, but this will just make it so that I can kind of transform this dress back into a standard waltz dress, which will be nice because then you can use that when you're a dancer for a lot of different things, and so it's not feeling just like Mary Poppins vibes. So this is a great tip that if you're trying to make something costumey and have a theme, but you want to be able to use it later, you do that. But this is a close-up. I love all of this. I have this is a lace piece, and then I just beat it on top of it. But I use all of these different shapes and sizes. But it's a lot of flames, which is my favorite. That's my favorite shape, is the flame shape. But it's got all different kind of shapes in there, which those things are expensive, but they give a really nice detailed look. But I just love this little lace piece. It's just kind of like a wedding lace that I put on, and then I just crystal over top of it to give it even more sparkle. All right, so I'm going to take the rest of this off, and then we can discuss about putting hooks back on. And then I could show you how I'm going to bead it, because I'm not exactly sure, but I have a little bit of an idea of how I'm going to do that. So let me take this off, and then we can get to the rest of the little tutorial that I'm doing here. Oh, these are also the arms, the edge of the arms, which are great. So that goes over the finger, but just all these little details. I like it when from far away, it may just look standard, but when you get up close, you really see the details of all the different shapes and sizes of crystals. And so, it costs a little more, but it really gives a nice look, and I think really makes the skater feel special, or the person wearing it, when they see all the details up close. So don't forget about your details. All right, I'm gonna take the rest of this off, and then we can sew some hooks on. All right, now I've got the neckline off, and I've got just the standard, what I would call my standard nude neck that I would do just with a high neck in any dress that has a high neck. So now I need to just reapply the hooks. Now I kept the hook on the end here because that wasn't affecting it. But basically what I'm going to do is take my needle and thread. So I'm going to thread a needle with some, since this is nude, some nude thread. All right, so got my needle threaded with some nude. Now I'm gonna do what is called whip stitching. So that's basically where I'm just going in like this and whip stitching it down, folding it. So I like to have about a ½ inch. So you have to give yourself an extra, I guess, inch in the pattern of the neck. So ½ inch for each side. But I just basically whip stitch it through like this just to keep it down and flat. And I mean, you can, since this is beaded, it doesn't matter. You could do a zigzag on it with your machine, but you know, if this didn't have any crystals on it, I like to do this because then it just keeps a nice clean, you know, you're not seeing threads or anything coming out there. And then when I get to the end, I like to just do little small whip stitches to kind of finish off the edge there. So you just kind of quickly go through. And then we will be able to put on our hook and eyes. Now, there's many different closures you can use. So there are, I like to use the hook and eyes, which this is a hook, because it has a hook on it. And this is an eye. It's like a little round thing, and basically it just this little round part hooks onto this hook. And the reason why I like using this is that, you know, like if you're doing snaps or a hook and a bar, then you're having to overlap, and so it makes it a little bit thicker. But when you do hook and eyes on anything, then it's just kind of, it just flushes up next to each other like that. And so you're not overlapping, and it keeps it, you know, the profile nice and flat. But there are different, you know, ways of using it. But for me, I like using the hook and eyes. So these hooks also, you can get these exact ones with what is called a bar. And so that bar, you just kind of clip it into the bar, but you're having to overlap the pieces of fabric. So it would be overlapping like this. But then you can also do snaps, so that just snaps close. There's some other kind of like hook and bar type of things that look different than this that are a little bit wider. And so those are good if like you're doing shoulder closures, like a long shoulder closure on like a sleeve. So I get these hooks from Wawak. I'll put the link up here. But these are the number 3 size of the hook and eyes, because they come in like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. But I like the size 3. And I think they come in a couple of different colors. I think they're white, black, and then this like chrome silver. And so you can get whatever you like. I normally just do the chrome silver. Basically what I do is you just go in and you start. Okay, so what I do is I just hold the hook down, and then you just do a couple of stitches. I like to do maybe about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you do the other little section. Now this is what I call hooking. So sometimes I'll bring costumes home at night, and I'll say that I'm hooking because I'm putting on a lot of hooks. And so all of my dresses, I just think it looks nicer to have these hooks. It does take a lot longer, because sometimes it can take 20, 30 minutes to do one dress with hooks. So, you know, you can do like other things, other closures that, you know, just go on real quick and it's done. But then, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't look as nice and clean, and like you took the time to do it. So I always like to have the nicest look. And so sometimes that is a little more time consuming. But then basically you just go up to the top here and you stitch around the top so that the hook stays flat to the fabric. All right, so now it's on. So you just have to I do another one here in the center, and then I'll do one here, right here, and the 4. So there's 4 on each side. So basically do on the neck there, and then a little closer at the bottom. So let me finish those, and then we'll go over and I'll show you how I do the eyes, which is basically the same. All right, I got the hooks on this side. Now I need to do the eyes on this side. So I whip stitched it like I did on the other side. And then basically I just lay down there and I just go into the holes like I did on the hooks. I do about 4 little, 4 or 5 stitches in there to keep it nice and secure. So I do both sides. And then I will go up here. And then I need to do, so you can see this, I need to do stitches here, and then I need to do stitches here, and that just keeps the hook down. Otherwise it's going to flop open like that. So I just kind of stitch it down about 4 or 5 times on the one side. There. So now it's nice and secure, and then that hook will just fit right in there, and you see how it just kind of keeps it nice and flat. You know, otherwise it would look like that if you're overlapping. Now, my little tip and technique, because I'm doing one right in the center to get them lined up. Basically have them flipped inside out like this. And then I can see that, of course, I have my hooks here on the edge. And then it's easy here because that one's kind of on the edge. But to get this one in the middle, I just kind of flip it over, see where I'm at, and then I can put the hook down so it matches on this side. And then I will just start sewing it just like the other one. Hopefully you can see this in this video. I'm trying to do it into the camera correctly. All right, I'm going to sew the rest of this up, and then we can get to the fun part, which is the beading, the bedazzling, the sparkles, and getting this to look more like a necklace. So I'm going to finish this up, and we can go on to that point. All right, now that we've got the hooks done, as you can see, they just kind of go like that. They do slightly pull apart a little bit, but it's fine. But I think that looks good. And now we can get to the bedazzling. But that's how, you know, you take off that little collar that I made, this fake collar, just kind of do the shape, and now I can transform the dress so that it's not costumed to Mary Poppins for this instance. And it's just kind of like a pretty waltz dress. So, all right, so let me get my board and let me get my crystals, and then we can talk about what we're going to do, because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do yet. So we'll work on this together for this video. All right. All right, now we can start the beading on this neckline. Now, I have a board here. I've made this board, and I make different sizes. So this is a 16 by 12, but I make different sizes, and I can put them inside the dresses. But for this, I'm just going to be laying the neck out on it. But it's a 1/2-inch foam board, and I just get it from a craft store. So I have a Blick craft store near me. Their website is dickblick.com, I believe. And I just cut it up. So it comes in a big board, and then I just cut them to the size that I need them, and then I can shove them into the dresses, and then I can pin down. So now I use these pins, and I like to use these. These are by the company called Dritz. They have a little pearl head on it. I like being able to, you can kind of grab onto the pearl easily. Now I have these, I have an Amazon store, and you can check out that Amazon store, and it has a lot of goodies like this. So if you want to use the same pins, I have my little, these are diamond trays, but I use them to put my crystals in, and they have a little opening here that then you can open up and then pour them back into a bag. So I keep crystals in a bag, but these are great to, like, when I'm working, I can stack them on top of each other, and they're great. So anyway, I use these pins, and I will pin down the neck onto the board so that it is nice and flat. So just do both sides. And then, since this has the neck, because what I'm going to start with is basically beading just this section here first, and then I'm going to have some crystals that kind of go down, look like little dangles on the neck. So I'm just going to kind of make that so I get that fabric out of the way so it's kind of gathered because it's going around the shoulder. But I just need this area to be nice and flat so that we can do our beading. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a row around the edge here and a row around the edge here, and I'm going to use 30s in the center, and then I'm going to do in between each one of those size 20. And these are in crystal AB. And then I'll have an opening here in the center, and then I have some different shapes here. And so I'm going to figure out, once I get those two lines, what shapes I want to put in between, because I could take these and make like a little necklace design or something somehow. But I need to get those lines on first, and then we can decide how we want the little designs in between to go. So basically what I'll start with is I get a pin, and I'm also using E6000 glue. I know there's been a lot of changes with this glue. I know some people have not liked the changes in it. It definitely has a different smell. However, I saw somebody the other day said they opened up a tube and it smelled much better than it had been smelling. But I know that there's been a lot of people who have said that their crystals are now popping off with E6000. I think maybe the reason for that is because, and I'm not positive on this, because I have not had any issues with my crystals popping off, but I do my beading a little differently than a lot of people do, which I'm about to show you. But people have been having trouble with it popping off, and I think it's because the glue dries much faster than it used to. I mean, this glue always dried really fast compared to other glues, but I think it's drying even faster now. So if you're doing the technique where you use a syringe and you put a couple of dots, I think that it's drying fast so that by the time you get the crystals all applied onto it, they are starting to pop because it's already kind of like halfway dried, and so it's not getting its good seal. The way that I do it is I dip into the glue with a pin, and I'll show you in a second, and put it directly onto the crystal. So each one of my crystals that is going on has wet glue, and it hasn't had the chance to dry yet before placing it down. So I think that's why I personally have not had any issues with crystals popping off, because this stuff, once it's on, like, I don't ever really lose any crystals. Like, they stay on. Like, I have people who wear dresses for 2 years and they're like, I didn't lose any crystals. Like, it's amazing. What are you doing? So I think the issue, if you're having issues with it popping off, it's probably because you're using the syringe technique, or you're placing a couple dots first and then putting crystals down. And I think that the glue is drying, like halfway drying, before you're able to really get the crystal on there, and it's not still the wet consistency, so it's not adhering to the crystal as well. So you may need to adjust how many dots you're putting down. Maybe only do 2 or 3 and then put crystals down. Don't do the 10 or whatever. So just keep that in mind if you're having trouble with them popping off. Try it where you're doing less dots if that's how you're doing it. Anyway, I'm going to open this up, and then I will take a pin. So I'll take a pen in my hand like this, and I can dip it into the glue so that I get glue on the edge like this, right? And then I can hold a crystal in my hand, and then I swipe it on and I twist off so I don't get any strings, and then I can just place it. Now I like to go on first with 30s, and then I'll put the 20s on the outside. So when I'm doing that, if you can see here, I'm not putting this 30 right on the edge because I need to leave room to put the 20s on this side. And so you'll see why I put the 30s first. It's kind of hard to do the 20s first and then put the 30s in, because I'm going to just space out the 30s, not quite right next to each other, but almost next to each other, and then you can just put the 20s in between. So let's do that again. So I'm going to put some glue on, twist, see it's still wet, and I can place it down. And I know like I can do a couple of crystals, but if it starts getting too globby or it's not sticking to the crystal, then I know it's not wet enough. And that's when I think that, you know, it's dried. So you just have to kind of wipe that off, and then you get a little more. Now, I do feel like with this new consistency of E6000 that I'm wasting more glue than I used to. I go through tubes much quicker, and I think it's because it comes out, but it's still the best stuff that I have found to use for me, that when I don't want something to come off. Nobody wants anything to come off, but I don't know, I feel like I've tried other glues and the crystals stay pretty well, but I get pops here and there, and so I feel like when somebody's spending the amount of money that they're spending on my costumes, I like to not miss any crystals, so I still feel like this is the best stuff to keep those on. All right, so I'm going to speed this up and do all of the lines on either side here. So I'll be going, like I said, a row of 30s, and then in between I'll be doing the 20s, and so I'll do that on this edge, and then I'll do it also on this edge. So I'm going to speed you up so that you don't take all the time that it actually takes me to do it. You can see it real quick, and then we can get on to the next part. All right, now I've got the two lines on, and now I can put in the little shapes that I want to do in the middle. And I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, but I think I'm going to take these. I think these are called the trillion stone, but they're pretty big, as you can see. Let's see if I measure them, how big they are. Like a little over an inch. So they're pretty big. I was thinking of putting them, put one in the center here. Actually, this is my center where that little pin is. Center, and then do 4 on each side. I'm thinking like that. Space them out evenly. And then I have 2 different sizes of the pear shape sew-ons. And I was thinking of doing the bigger one at the bottom, and then doing the smaller one at the top, because those fit pretty much perfect right there. And then I'll probably go in and do some sort of little something, but I need to get these on first to see what I like. That kind of gives a bejeweled necklace piece. Now I think as well what I'm going to do is I have these, what are called kites. And I think I'm going to put these in between every other stone here, just to give some detail there. And then I'm going to have a couple of drops that come off here. But first we need to do this part. So I think what I'll start with is I'll probably do the kites first, and then I will go in and put on these, and then add in probably some little doodads within here just to kind of finish it off. So let me do that. I'll speed it up, and then we can take a look at it before we then do the drops that come down here. All right, now I've got the neck all done. I did it slightly different than I said I was going to do, but have the neck done. Now I can do little dangles. I think what I'm going to do is this is a 48, put a 48 here and have like 2 lines go up here, and then dangle down from there, and then do some sort of dangle right here. So just a little bit, just to give a little extra detail coming down off the necklace. All right, so let's just go ahead and place. I'm just gonna wing this one. So I'm gonna put my glue on there. So I wipe it on, and I twist off. This is my center right here. Just gonna place it right there. 16. I'll do a little shape. I'll figure out what shape. I think we'll do my favorite, which is the flame. So this is the biggest shape, the biggest size. They have it come in 3 sizes. I don't know what the millimeter is on it, but it's whatever the biggest one is. I think I will. Do I want it that way? Do I want it that way? But either way, I think I'll do that way. So now it has its little dangle. And I think maybe I will get the smallest size, and I'll put 2 next to it, just to give a little more detail. I think that looks nice. I feel like I need some kind of shape there, so I just want to do. Maybe we'll flip it that way. Do another flame. Perfect. Beautiful. Now I need to do another dangle. I think maybe we'll do a smaller version of what we just did in the center here. So I think we'll do a 30 about there, do a 30 on the other side. All right, now we need to do a little dangle down. We'll do the medium flame size on this drop. That looks good. Sometimes it's just best to kind of play around. That's when I feel like my stuff comes out the best, is when I just kind of play around and see how the flow works with it. I feel like there needs to be some sort of drop there. I think that looks good. So that just gives a little bit of a drip drop. Now I almost feel like I just want to do going through all of these. Maybe do a little drop there or something. I don't know. Let me think about it. I'm going to let this part dry because I put a parchment paper under it because this is just one layer of mesh here. So I'm going to let it dry for a second, and then I can pull it up and then maybe go onto this part. So hold tight. All right, I have finished off the neck. You can kind of see here, I decided to add some little dangles going around the side. So I'm going to put this on my mannequin so that you can see the full view of what it looked like and what it looks like now with this update. But let me switch you around so you can see my face before we end this video. All right, we are finished now, but I'm going to put this on the mannequin so you can see a little twirly twirl and how she looks up close when she's on a form, not a real human form, but a dress form. But I hope you enjoyed seeing how this process, how you can kind of think ahead if you have a costume that is a little more costumey, but if there's a way to like design it so that maybe there can be a change later so that it can turn into something that can be used for other things, because this customer spent a lot on this dress, and if it was only usable because it looked like Mary Poppins, then you're spending a lot of money just for that. But now she'll be able to use it, since she's a dancer, for maybe waltz dresses or other some dances that will work with this kind of updated. So I think this is really pretty, and I'm glad that I thought about this ahead of time and let her know that, like, oh hey, I'm going to do this so that we can change it afterwards so that you can continue to use it for something else, because especially dancers, they have multiple dances that they have to do, and it's not just the normal 2 programs. I think they do a lot of things, especially because she's a solo dancer, so I think she does partner stuff and whatnot, so it can get expensive with getting maybe 4 dresses a year or whatnot. So if you can reuse something or update it so it works, I think that's great. All right, so I thank you for watching. I've missed you guys, and I've seen all of your sweet comments, and I know that you've missed seeing videos from me. So I will continue to do videos. They just may be little hiatuses in the middle of one another. So, I don't know when the next YouTube video will happen, but let me know if you are interested in a Patreon, because I have that in my mind of something that maybe I could offer that, since will be kind of like a subscription fee to get the content, and maybe that will make it a little more worth my while to have some supplemental income to help with the videos. So please leave a comment below if you're interested in that. Leave whatever comment you would like if you have something else to say. And I will see you in the next video. Now, you may also notice that, this is in my home. I do most of my beading in my home. That I updated my wall behind me because I've been in this building for almost 10 years. And so I've had the same like 3 canvases that you'll see in previous videos up on the wall. And I was kind of like, I want something new. And I really like those gallery walls where there's just a bunch of crap, on the wall and you can see it all and it's kind of just a mishmash. And so I have a lot of items that I've collected over the years. And so I like being able to like see it all. And then I have like books as well. I had a bookcase and I took that down and added these kind of floating bookshelves. And so I'm really happy with how it came out. But now I can see all of my little knickknacks that I've gotten. Like, for instance, I have a friend, Dan, who makes these beautiful Christmas trees, and he has them, they're what do you call it? Ceramic. And so he makes new ones every year for Christmas, and they're different colors. So this was last year. So I have my Christmas trees from him. My friend Brian, he made this stained glass Christmas tree that I got. I have my dog Carrie Bell's ashes in this, so I can always remember her. I also have her paw print over here. I have this little nesting doll that I got from Johnny Weir when he did a Grand Prix probably, 20 years ago now, where, from Russia, and they go down to the teeny tiniest little nesting doll. So I have this to remember him. But I've just gotten lots of stuff all over the years, and so it's cool to look at it. I have my grandmother's necklace. This is a funny story. I know this is a long video, but I have my grandmother's necklace here. I don't know if you can see because of the light, but it's kind of like a locket, and so she would wear it when I was younger. And so when I was about 5 years old, I was like, her name is Nini, and I said, Nini, can I have this necklace? And she said, I'll give it to you when I die. And I was like, all right. And then she said, do you want me to die? And I said, well, I want the necklace. So we laughed about that for years. So finally, when she passed away about 10 years ago now, I got the necklace. So I framed it, and I have it on my wall so that I can see it and cherish it. So anyway, all right. So I know this has probably been a long video. I feel like I was planning to do just a quick old, like, simple video, but I think I did a lot of talking in the beginning. I've done a lot of talking in the end, and then I have all the content in the middle. So if you're still here, you're a true one. I thank you. And here is the finished product of the dress.